Hello and welcome to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and as the founder of the Bold Life Movement and a fellow coach for more than 7 years, I know the challenges that many of you face when launching or growing your coaching business. And I'm here to pull back the curtain on the coaching industry and help you overcome roadblocks to make the impact you were born to make. Each week, I'll be interviewing successful coaches from every corner of the industry to share exactly how they have managed to generate massive impact and income. From strategy to psychology, we cover it all. This show is presented to you by Transformation Academy, a global marketplace of courses and coaching certifications. So whether you are already part of our epic community or you're brand new to this show, if you're ready to learn what it takes to turn your passion for service into a profitable business, then keep listening. You are in the right place. Welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. Today's guest is the one and only Juan Bendana. Juan is an internationally recognized keynote speaker that has delivered electrifying experiences on thousands of stages. He is an author, entrepreneur, and considered by many as a walking shot of espresso. He has worked with the likes of Disney, Sony Pictures, and Sotheby's International, and he has coached entrepreneurs, actors, and Olympians, all on building confidence. He is one of the most inspiring individuals that I have personally had the pleasure of meeting, and his consistency in his own life and business, along with his own personal transformation and ability to just cut through to the core of someone's blocks, has always impressed me. On today's episode, we talk about Juan's alternative viewpoint on niching down, getting clients, and overcoming the roadblocks to being a confident coach. So without further ado, please welcome my dear friend and incredible human being, Juan Bendana. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm super stoked today to have one of my dear friends and mentors, Juan Bendana, on the show. Welcome, Juan.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So I first connected with Juan at Tony Robbins events like 6 years ago, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was one of the youngest trainers that had ever gone through the pretty rigorous coaching program that you guys had to go through. And since then, your coaching, speaking, writing, just being of service career has really taken off. And so I wanted to have you on the show today to talk about all the different places that coaching can take you and some of the things that might trip you up in the beginning and how to move past them. So will you kick us off by just giving us a little bit of background on like what drew you to learning how to be a coach and what are some of the techniques that you've learned over the years in terms of coaching?
Yeah, I think the first thing that initially drew me was the ability to get someone to a wildly different place in their life, their career, their relationship, their business after a 60-minute conversation or after a few weeks of working with someone where you can see a measurable difference. And I really saw that in me working with coaches and mentors that I hired that transformed my health, where I had lost 70 pounds in working with someone, where my business, where it like doubled year over year over year for the past 5 years from working with strategic coaches and finding people that were already doing it. And I was like, wow, okay, this really works. Now, how can I be the person that helps do this as well? So that's what really drew me to it. And then just kind of fell in love with the process of coaching and of working with people one-on-one, because in what I do, I mostly speak to large audiences of people, around 60 to 70 times a year, to anywhere north of 100,000 people. And that's fun, but it isn't the one-on-one connection. You are speaking one-on-one times 1,000, times 5,000, times 500, whatever it may be. So I love, like right now in my like full-time speaking career, because I would say I am like 80, probably 90% speaker, 10% coach. To be frank, well, 80% speaker, 10% coach, 10% author, because I'm working with like the writing team for this book. But the coaching that I do with I think like 7 clients that I work with right now, which is not like, I know it's like not a lot of, that's all that my speaking schedule like allows me to do. it keeps me so sharp. And like working with someone and hearing what they actually need on working on the fly. So that's kind of what drew me to it. And then I just kind of like fell in love with it. And it's super fun. And I just love it.
So one of the things that I want to highlight is you said you fell in love with the ability to help someone transform in their job, in their health, in their relationship. You know, I'm hearing a lot of different areas of life. And one of the things that a lot of new coaches really resist is picking a particular result or ideal client or niche, take your pick, and like going all in on that.
Yeah.
And instead trying to help so many people with so many things and in turn helping no one. So can you speak to that a little bit? Like, just speak, whatever comes to your mind.
Yes, and I have a very counterintuitive opinion on that specifically, and it started in the speaking industry, but it absolutely relates to the coaching industry. And that I think at the beginning of your coaching career or your speaking career, because a lot of speakers want to be coaches and vice versa, you want to try on as many outfits as possible, meaning you will not know if you enjoy speaking to an elementary school until you've done it. I did it once. I will never do it again. Like, you learn what you really like. So you have to learn, right now, the majority of my clients my coaching clients are specifically on how to become professional speakers, because that is an area I have honed. That is something I've worked a decade on. And that is the majority of the people that I work with, because I found that's really fun. And I love it. So I think at the beginning, if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to get into coaching, but I don't know where to start, try a little bit of everything and don't feel the arbitrary pressure of the riches are in the niches and pick your niche. It's so stupid. It is so ridiculous, because I know coaches that work with people that are trying to scale their business. But what is a business challenge? It's the psychology of the CEO. Or they're working with someone with their health, but they don't realize that the health challenge is due to tension in their relationship. So any coach could have a specialization, but you're working with a whole person, not a segment of them. You're not working with one version of them. You're working with all of them, which is all their baggage, their relationships, their fears, their desires, their business aspirations, their net worth. All of it is a part of it. So a little bit of a counterintuitive approach to that question, because I can't stand when people are like, you have to pick your niche and go all in and ignore everything. I was like, what about the person that really needs you, that maybe wants you to teach them this? Yeah.
So this is perfect, because inside most of the Transformation Academy programs, we do tell new coaches, start with one niche and understand it's going to evolve. Like, my personal story is that I started helping people with like boundaries and being assertive and going after what they wanted and overcoming the fear for that. But really what people started approaching me for, similar to your speaking career, was personal branding coaching. And so then I had to kind of pivot. And then I was helping new male entrepreneurs, but then my retreats were for women. So it was like dabbling in all the things. That being said, what would you tell new coaches who don't yet have clients or who don't yet have a variety of people knocking on their door with different needs, and they're sort of having to like decide which topic to focus on or to not? How do they go out and get them if they're not clear on what the result is that they're offering?
Forget about the niche that you feel like you need to pick and focus on two things. Number one is skilling up, and number two is acting boldly. Skilling up, meaning get exceptional at what you do. The same thing applies for speaking as it does for coaching. If probably once a week, people ask me, I want to become a professional speaker. And there's a lot of people that have these programs of like, I can teach you how to be a 6-figure speaker, and they're not. And I know they're not on the circuit, and it just drives me insane. But it's the same thing. Be extraordinary. So work on, if you're at the beginning and you don't have a repertoire of clients, get the skill from working with individuals that you're just like, hey, I would love to work with you for, like, start a group of 4, 5, 7 people that you then coach every week for 6 weeks. and then get testimonials from them and learn how you interact with different groups and different individuals, but get your skill right. And then number 2 is act boldly, meaning reach out to 50 different people and say, I would love to work with you one-on-one. What has to happen for us to get on a phone call, a quick Zoom, for me to show you what the next, and like I feel like people do not have that boldness, and I know you know better than anyone, the boldness in their life to be able to say, like, no, I'm absolutely meant for this moment, for this stage. Like at the beginning of my speaking career, my first speech was for 170-year-olds at 7 a.m. while they ate breakfast. And I was 19. Oh, it was awful. I blacked out for the whole thing. I don't even remember what I said. But the point was that I acted boldly. I did something. So I would say hesitation is really the cost of the life that you could have lived. And I find that new coaches at the beginning oftentimes hesitate over the most ridiculous, inconsequential things. Your logo is fine. Your website looks okay. Like I could show you, I could literally show you right now speakers and coaches that are doing north of $1 million a year, around 100, 150K a month, and they post pictures of bread on their Instagram. They don't have a perfect brand. I could show, I know speakers that are booked solid through to 2024 and they do not have a website. I know coaches that have a 2-year waiting list. That's $50,000 a year to work with them. And they don't have a website. They have an email. And it's a personal Gmail. Again, it is your skill. Extraordinary literally cannot be ignored. It cannot be denied. So if you get great and then you act boldly, you pair those two things, you don't need a perfect Canva proposal as to what your programs are called. It's just so ridiculous. So yeah, those are the two things I feel like most coaches need at the beginning.
I'm going to push you because we're friends and I know that you can take it and I know that you have this wisdom in you for everyone that's listening. Getting extraordinary at coaching without understanding or without deciding, I should say, what the result is because they don't know yet. They're still like figuring out the results they want to help people get. How do you recommend that they become an extraordinary coach without a clear outcome?
Fantastic question. Clear outcome meaning what kind of coach they ultimately want to be?
Yeah, what it is that they are helping someone to achieve by working with them. What is the gap that they're actually helping that person close?
Got it. So that gap is not predetermined or predecided. As you had mentioned, you will learn that as you go. So you can pick a North Star, but understand that that North Star will constantly change. So I'm not saying do not pick it altogether, but I am saying step into the arena. Get into the game and have people like a program, a mentor, a coach, a community that can support you while you're in there. Because it's like you're not going to have the perfect star, the perfect North Star. You're not going to have the perfect outcome because you don't decide your outcome, your clients do. You don't decide what you actually want to deliver because I feel like that's the problem that a lot of coaches actually run into and speakers run into this as well, is that they think that they're the ones that are going to decide the outcomes for the client or for the audience when it's like the client's going to decide that. You're going to help them get there, but you're not the one doing the work. You're the guide. It's the hero versus the guide. As a coach, you're a guide. You're not the hero. The hero is the one that defines the North Star. The hero is the one that decides this is where we're going. So your skill set is not to decide the outcome for them. Your skill set is to be the person that helps them along the way to their North Star, not building this idea of what you think their North Star is.
Yeah. And I want to clarify. So like I said, within Quantum Leap, and some of the other Transformation Academy programs, when we talk about the importance of choosing a niche early on, it's really so that you can become a better guide. And to go back to what Juan was saying, you're not deciding what the outcome is. You're listening to what people have said is their desired outcome through your market research and through getting your feet wet and boldly getting out there and just trying it. And so by like experimenting and being brave and getting out there, you're going to hear what people want to be achieving and they're not doing it on their own. And you're going to step into the role as guide to help them do that.
Totally.
And then you're going to say, hey, I've helped all these people do this thing. If you need support with this, I'm your guy or gal.
For sure. Could not agree more.
So what has been, in terms of coaching specifically, what has been some of the most impactful investments that you've made in your own coaching education, or like resources that you have leaned on to be a better coach?
I would say the primary resources that I turn to are people. There isn't a specific book that I could point to or a course or anything like that. Like, I work really well with mentors or coaches or people that have been there before. So I would say the one standout was a coach that I hired, a business coach that I hired to sit in a room for 2 days in California and it was like 12 or 15K that I did not have at the time. And I was just said yes, and I was like, okay, let's go, and I'll go for it, and it'll be great. And I flew to California again with no money, and I sat in the room, and it was the proximity, and it wasn't necessarily that the content was groundbreaking, but the way they viewed the world was. And that relationship led to, had to be like 4 years ago now, that led to certain things that were just unbelievable in terms of business that paid for the program, 100-fold just from that one relationship. So I would say that was definitely the biggest investment I made. And the shift for me wasn't in the strategy that they gave. It was in the opening my eyes to the perspective that they had. Because there's a difference between $500 problems, $5,000 problems, $500,000 problems, and the level of thinking required at each is different. And meeting someone that's at that higher level, it's like, oh, that's how you see the world. Okay, that totally makes sense. I guess I should do that too.
Yeah. And it makes me think of what you were saying earlier about people who have achieved a lot of success and they're not wasting their time with the font on their Instagram post or whatever the thing is that keeps people stuck spinning their wheels, not actually doing revenue generating activities. That's a negative $5 problem. Yes. And they're more focused on, $50,000 a month problems or whatever it is. So yeah, it's a mindset thing. And along that vein, I feel like so much about becoming a coach or a thought leader or a mentor is the psychology, the mindset, who it is that you become. And I know that your mastermind has been incredibly impactful in your life and helped you to really be the person that you aspire to be before you're actually there sometimes. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, the mastermind has been the single most impactful thing that I have done in my life and in my business. We have been in a mastermind, 3 of my best friends and myself, for the past 7 years. We've met once a week, every week for the past, I think it's 6 years, maybe it's 7. I just came back from Miami on one of our mastermind trips a week ago. And it was just that at the beginning, I had no clients. I hadn't booked my first speech. My business was generating 0 revenue. 0. And they, for some reason, and they were all doing very well in different industries and different areas. And they, for some reason, were like, you can join us. And then we met and we held each other accountable and we pushed each other and we challenged each other to grow. And there is nothing better or nothing that I could recommend more strongly than a mastermind. A group of people that you meet with on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis that is probably no more than 4 or 5, but probably more than 2.
What would you say to people who are like, I don't know anyone currently who would do that?
There's this amazing place called the internet. It's new. A lot of people haven't heard of it. And there's another amazing thing called social. And you can find amazing people there. Or going to in-person events of any kind. Like, I met them all at an event. We were strangers, and then we met at this event, and then we got on our first call, and we did our first mastermind trip in person in Boston, and I hadn't met 2 of the guys.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, and this goes back to what we were saying, taking bold action. I mean, I said on a recent training, you can have excuses or you can have results. I think it's Arnold Schwarzenegger who was quoted saying that, but you can't have both.
Yep.
And so a lot of people who are just starting are so paralyzed by their own imposter syndrome and perfectionism that they don't take any action. And they don't put themselves out there, and they don't just go be authentically of service and curious and open to what could happen. So I wanted to make sure to bring up your mastermind because I think it's such a beautiful tool, and a lot of people are underutilizing it.
For sure.
Yeah. So for people who are unsure how to coach, but they know they want to help people live more authentically, live more purposefully, or maybe they even have a more specific outcome in mind and they want to help people who are 5 years behind where they are now, what advice would you give them about becoming a better coach?
I would say, number one, as mentioned before, getting in the arena and coaching before you're ready and just trying it out, because your terrible is someone else's that was awesome. So getting in the arena and getting reps in, coaching and speaking alike. You've got to, people ask, how do I become a better speaker? Get in front of people. There is no book that will show you how to be a better speaker. I'm sorry. There are very good books on speaking. Until you get in front of 1,000 people, you don't know what that's like. Coaching is the same thing. Until someone shares with you a deep trauma or something that is going on in their life or in their relationship or their marriage or their business, you don't know how to deal with that. So I'd say number one is get into the arena. Number 2 is get coached by someone that's great. Like, get a coach of someone that knows what they're doing, that has so much conviction in when they speak, that shows you what a great coach is. And then you model success and you say, wow, okay, that was a great question. Let me write that down. Okay, well, wow, they were asking like way more questions than they were giving answers. So maybe I need to focus on asking more questions, because then I get the answer that they're looking for, as opposed to fabricating an answer that I think is correct. Oh, okay, that's great. And then you get a little better because you've learned what great people do. It's like if you were to play basketball with LeBron, you'd probably get a little better than if you were to play with your 7-year-old cousin. Like whenever,
or with me.
Exactly. Like whenever, like Gab, so my fiance and I, like we love playing tennis, and she is way better than me at tennis, and I love it because it makes me so much better. Or even if you're someone that works out or goes to the gym, I don't, honestly, maybe it's a little judgy, I like having training partners. I was just working out this morning with my sister's boyfriend, Tommy. He is an absolute monster, 240 pounds, is one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. I love training with him because he pushes me to be better. He pushes me to show me this is what a real workout looks like. So you've got to kind of level up the people that you're surrounding yourself with and engaging with and acting around. But I think the easiest way to do that is get a coach or join a group with someone that you're like, oh, I know this person's excellent. Let me watch what they do.
Yeah. And I tell people inside Quantum Leap and inside the Platinum Mastermind, you're here both as a student and a researcher. You know, like take notes about the content that we're going through, answer the questions as someone who is being coached, but also as a researcher, take note of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. And that can be both things you like and don't like. You know, it's both. I love that. I want to talk about roadblocks a little bit, because I think that what can often happen is new entrepreneurs or new coaches, anyone who's trying something for the first time, they think, oh, I'm so passionate about it. It's got to work. I know this is for me. And then inevitable roadblock. Talk to me about what are some of the ones you have faced in your career, and then how you moved through them and what you've learned from them.
I think one of the biggest and most prevalent is definitely just immediate rejection of, we're not interested. We don't want to hire you. We found someone else. We don't think your stuff is good. That presentation sucked. I don't think you're the right fit. All of those things you have to just understand that they are not a reflection of you. They're a reflection of the person that is saying, like, that's their reality, not your reality. And this is the biggest challenge. This is the biggest problem that people have when it comes to building and sustaining confidence, because 80% of the US population identifies with low self-confidence. That means 20% of people are happy with their level of confidence. So it is a massive problem, and here's the reason why. It's because the majority of people tie their self-worth or their value or their confidence to the outcome as opposed to their output. They tie how they feel about themselves to the outcome. I failed, so I guess I'm a failure. They rejected me, so I guess they don't like me. They didn't respond to my email, so I guess they're not interested. And we fabricate all of these stories that create these narratives that make us feel bad about ourselves and stall our progress. Instead, we need to associate our confidence and our self-worth and how we feel about ourselves to our output. Oh, yeah, maybe I got 5 rejections today, but I'm still going to do the things that I know are going to move the needle that I learned in Quantum Leap. Yeah, I understand that I got this rejection and people say that you're no good and that you suck and that you're horrible and that you'll never be hired and that you don't have this speaking thing down and that you'll never build a sustainable business, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then you're like, yeah, but I'm gonna keep on doing this. I think the reason as to why I was just the one quality, people are like, why the heck were you able to, because a lot of things are kind of coming to the fold with like the book deal and like these national conferences and whatnot. I was like, I'm just unreasonably consistent. And I don't think people have because a lot of coaches love to say they have a consistency problem. I don't think anyone has a consistency problem. I think people have a commitment problem. No. It's not that you're not consistent, because if you were told that you have 6 months to live, but you can avoid that by working out every day, you'd be in the gym every day. You don't have a consistency problem. You have a commitment problem. Yeah.
Why do you think people have trouble committing to things?
Fear.
That they say that they want.
Oh, afraid. They're afraid of the outcome. They're afraid of a negative outcome. It's the only reason as to why I just don't want to send this email, or I just feel like I can't stick to this. No. It's not that you can't send the email. You're just not really excited about the outcome if they say no. It's what happens if they say no, or what happens if they say yes and I can't deliver. It's not only fear of failure, it's also fear of success. It's like, I genuinely, a few months ago, I got an email that you are booked for basically one of the largest events in the US. It's 50,000 people in the fall. And one of the first animal brain responses that I had was absolute fear and anxiety. It was like, what if I suck? I literally was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. It was right when we got back from our trip. It was February. I was like, oh, I'm so happy it's in November, because I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to. And I immediately went to, what if I mess up? What if I screw up? Mm-hmm. What if I don't do well? What if I don't hit the standard that I have? And I think another layer of it is that we have these standards that are so high for ourselves that set us up to lose. And we are striving for this ideal of perfection that does not exist. And consistently good is better than occasionally perfect. And I feel like people wait for occasional perfection as opposed to being good consistently, which is such a better option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick before we transition, speak to what it is that you had to go through to be able to get your book deal. because I think that a lot of coaches don't realize you're probably going to have, I mean, if you have a 10% conversion rate on your sales calls, that means that 90% of the sales calls, that's just the people who actually book the call with you to get on a discovery session, are going to say no. And you have to be willing to endure the no's to get the yes. So I want to know, you had such a good way of phrasing it on your Instagram.
Yeah, it was the amount of no's that we got for this book deal was insane, because I'm someone, like, I'm a no one. I don't have a big brand or a following, or I wasn't a former Olympian or on this show. I was just a guy that had an idea that I thought was really great. And my agent and my business manager also thought it was a really great idea. So we put together a great deck and a great proposal, and we were shopping it out. But I have all of the rejections literally here right now. Thanks again for thinking of me, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to pass. I just don't think this title is a right fit. I took a look, and I'm going to get out of your way. Appreciate the message, but thanks. Thanks for checking in. This isn't going to be quite a right fit. And I have probably 40 of these. And each one, I was like, okay, great, awesome. Let's go to the next. Let's go. Because I know every rejection is one no closer to the yes. Like, I don't know where I saw this. It was probably on some random Instagram quote where no is just next opportunity.
Ooh, like, I love that.
It's just, no is literally just the next opportunity. It's like, oh, that's okay.
So pithy.
You said no, and it's great. And like, we ultimately got the book deal with like one of the, if not the largest book publisher in North America, Penguin Random House, and an unreasonable book deal for my level of brand, but they love the idea. And they were like, we haven't had an idea like this in the past years that I've worked with. And the agent that I'm working with has worked with Barack Obama, Matthew McConaughey, George W. Bush, Michelle Obama. Like, but it took the 40-something no's. Every single email I got, I was like, I almost did 10 push-ups. Like, I was so excited. Every rejection, you kind of just have to reframe that in your mind and say, like, oh, it's a next opportunity. Let's freaking go. At each client, because especially when I'm reaching out for events, and I don't do much outreach now for like speaking events, but when I used to, I would send 300 emails. These are real numbers. I would send 300 emails. I would get 7 to 10 responses. 4 of those would book a call, and 2 would book an event.
Wow.
So like out of 300 emails, I just knew it was a numbers game. And then like you do the one, and the thing with coaching is like, and speaking, once you get good, you don't have to market at all. Like, you just don't. Like, once you're good.
But what is it that makes you good?
Is the reps. Is getting in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. How soon were you, I mean, I know you told the story earlier about investing money that you didn't have to go sit with that mentor, but in addition to the mastermind and like a one-day VIP session with that guy, how soon were you bringing on what it sounds like is a support team to further your mission? I mean, an agent, a business manager. I imagine you've had a speaking coach at some point.
Pretty quickly. So after that initial meeting, I got hooked up with the founder of an agency. It's based in California, one of like the largest agencies in the education industry, and went to his house, signed a contract, like a 10-year contract with him. And then I got a business manager, like he became my business manager. And then I got a book agent through him. And then we have 3 agents that sort of represent everything in education. Then I brought on an executive assistant to handle other bookings, a travel person to book all my travel. So it was incremental, where I just kind of wanted to buy back my time. Because I was like, if I am not either speaking, coaching, or working on content, or working on the craft of speaking and coaching, I should be outsourcing that and having someone else do that. So like, I just hired someone literally last week. I'm probably going to hire someone in the next few weeks. So then the ship can kind of keep running when I'm away, when I'm like, giving presentations. So it was incremental. But at the beginning, I think it's really valuable to do all the stuff. I think it's
so
I think it's really valuable to go through the contracting process and the invoicing process and the onboarding calls and the intake forms. I think it's really important to do all that. So and like you're well versed in that process, because you got to know the business front to back, from like initial lead to prospect to client to like, you have to know that whole process, I think.
I agree. And I think a lot of the messaging early on for new coaches is outsource. And it's not that black and white.
Yeah.
Yes. Get things off your plate as soon as you have mastered them and created like an SOP around it and you know it, but don't hire it out before you've familiarized yourself with it, because then you never know, if you're getting ripped off, you might not have any sort of agency over that portion of the business. And it's good to just have your eyes and hands in each piece at some point in the process.
Yeah. And don't hire a social media manager or spend an exorbitant amount of time on your socials before you hit the 6-figure mark.
Say that again.
It does not make sense if you are not, like, you can build a 6-figure business with no brand. You can build a 7-figure business with no brand. I would say once you get to the place where you're doing a comfortable 100, 200K, then you can bring on someone for brand and a video editor, then someone that posts all your content and all that sort of stuff. Okay, great. But like, I don't understand why there's so many coaches that jump right to, I need to build my brand and I need this perfect like lifestyle brand that I need to spend 2 hours. No, you need to coach. Coach is coach.
So, and they are getting those clients how? Because I know this is a really common misnomer in the coaching industry that social media is how you get clients.
So it can be, and I don't disagree with that. So, like, it totally can be, but also, like, if you're a coach, it's a 2-part question. Who are you coaching? Are you coaching moms or people in fitness or millennials or whatever it is? Okay, great. Or even if you haven't picked that, or like personal development people, awesome. That's question number 1. Then question number 2, where do they hang out?
Yes.
Then go there. Then go there. Like, you could literally, if you are someone that is in the coaching industry and you are not going to personal development conferences, you are a psychopath. Like, it is unbelievable. Like, you could throw a rock and hit a coach, but you could also throw a rock and hit someone that wants to be coached. And like, for years, and being a trainer in like the Robbins community and whatnot, when I was not coaching, I was building my speaking industry. I was like, I am not coaching people. That is not what I'm doing. You have people asking like 10, 15 people per event every single time. Like, it is, you just have conversations. And then, what do you do? Oh, well, I coach women in helping them find work-life balance while being an entrepreneur and still having time for family.
Ooh, I want to focus on the way you just said that. This formula for talking about what you do is so important and so challenging for people. They really want to say, I'm a love coach.
Yeah.
I'm a purpose coach. No one cares about what you are. They care about how you can help them. So you said, I help fill in
100%.
Who the person is to achieve what the result is without, and then you inserted the objection.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can master that, it's going to, and feel really good about it and confident about it and like excited about how you help people, then it's going to be so much easier to meet people organically that want you to take their money.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like if you have, and as simple as just an I help statement of like, who do you help?
Yeah.
And what do you help them do? And then of course, like, what's the objection? And like, instead of, because I can't, oh my gosh, I can't stand when people are like, I am a transformational coach. What the heck does that mean? Hey, what does that mean? Are you a transformer? Do you? I literally think you coach transformers. Like, I don't understand what that means. But when you have someone where it's like, I coach entrepreneurs in the tech space to help scale their businesses without burning out, I'm like, oh, I immediately go to like, do I know any tech founders that are scaling their businesses that kind of are burnt out and don't have time for friends or family? Well, yeah, I actually know a few let me connect. Like
that's how the brain works.
Yeah. Yes.
Because immediately our desire, our inclination is to say, how can I connect with this?
Yes.
How can I fit into what is just being said? And so we're going to say, is that me or is that someone that I know?
Yes.
How can I be a part of this? So beautiful example. I love this. I could go down this route all day, but I want to know, Juan, what are some other myths that you have seen in the coaching industry over the years that we're going to bust?
Myths in the coaching industry.
We just talked about how you don't need to hire a social media manager your first day as a coach. That is not what we're doing.
Yeah. I don't think you have to have, sort of on that same vein, you don't have to have this amazing brand to be a successful coach. And also, you don't have to have all of these certifications and credentials and think that it is going to make you immediately a 6, 7, 8-figure coach. Like your confidence is much more important than your credentials. And I think if more people understood that, like really got that, where there's a lot of, and I see this in the speaking industry, I feel like this is just a venting session right now. I see this a lot in the speaking industry where there's speakers that are like, I'm an international Hall of Fame speaker. And I'm like, what? Like what?
That's not a thing.
What the heck does that mean? I'm like, I literally don't even understand what a Hall of Fame. I was like, do you play hockey? Like I'm Canadian. Like I don't even get it. So the myth is that we think that we need to make it more complex and you need to be more official than you actually need to be. People do not care about your credentials. They care about your caring. They don't care about your credentials. They care about your conviction. They don't care. Can you help them get to their dream? Can you help them get to their goal? Like, they don't care.
I love that.
They don't care. That's a big myth.
Yes. Yes. And we talk about this all the time. They don't care about what you call yourself.
No. Yeah, your tagline doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't.
What is one thing you wish you knew when you were starting out as a coach?
Execution is far more important than strategy. Do it messy. Be messy. Suck.
But do it.
Just do it.
Just
do it. Like Nike is on to something. They're kind of a great company. Like you're going to suck. You're going to do it wrong. You're going to upset a client. You're going to mess up. You're going to blank on a coaching call. You're going to do all of those things. But it is so much more important to execute and do it messy. And without any idea of how is this going to go? It's much better to learn on the way. I'm very much so the ready, fire, aim, the ready, fire, aim person of just let's just go. Let's get it going. Mm-hmm. So I would say the most important thing is just start before you're ready and send 10 personal messages today. Send 10 personal messages.
Reach out to your
immediate
network.
Circle. And this is exactly, if you're watching this, you will see this, but if you're listening, I will kind of walk you through what I'm doing. This is exactly what you do. I've literally booked events for an hour keynote over 10 grand for an hour of my time just by doing this. I'm holding up my phone, by the way, like I'm shooting an Instagram story. Hey, Amber, just wanted to say I saw your email, or if this is cold, I would just introduce myself. I saw your email. I wanted to just introduce myself because I know in this virtual world it's kind of really weird, but I want to say hi and I'm so excited to connect with you. I'd love to hop on a Zoom call and just chat about your event or chat about potential coaching or chat about how we could work together. I hope you're having an amazing Friday. It's a beautiful day here in Toronto. I hope it's a beautiful day in Utah. I will talk to you very soon. Have an amazing week. Peace. Sent it, book the event in 48 hours. It's not hard. It's not hard. Send 10 of those messages.
I say in my TEDx, the answer is always no until you ask.
Yeah.
So many people are afraid of getting the no.
Yeah. And like one note, more like nitty gritty on emailing, on sending emails. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people are really bad with their inbox. It doesn't mean that it's a no. It just means that they haven't seen it yet or they're leaving it unread in their inbox, so they'll get back to it. So if you're not following up every 7 to 10 days, like be doing that. It's really important.
Yeah, and I tell a story about this as well. My dad got discharged from the Air Force right after going through college and going through the whole training and everything because they just had too many people. And he knew that he was meant to be a pilot for the Air Force. Like that, it was not an option. That's what he was going to do. So he reached out to the commander-in-chief, who's the president of the United States. This is the person in charge of all of the armed forces in the country. Literally reached out. So even when a no sounds like a no, it might just mean you need to get more creative. It might mean that you need to do better follow-up instead of just receiving the no and being like, oh, okay. So sometimes, just got to do a little bit more work.
Totally.
So, all right, Juan, I would love to hear, before we wrap up, what is one piece of encouragement or wisdom that you want to leave these coaches with?
Hesitation or lack of execution is selfish. It's thinking about you. You're not thinking about the people you want to help. You're not thinking about the clients you're looking to serve. You're not thinking about the audience that you'd ideally like to be in front of. You're thinking about you. You're thinking about your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, and you think they're more important than what they need. As soon as you flip that and understand that what's really important is the person that is on the other side of the email or the LinkedIn message or the Zoom call, that's when it changes and it just becomes effortless and it becomes easy to do when you're thinking about them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Robbins talks about one of the quickest ways to get out of your own suffering is just do something for someone else. Mm-hmm. And the same thing applies to your coaching business. That's why you got into it in the beginning, is to help people. So get out of your own way and start being of service.
Yeah, for sure. And just remind yourself that you have more in the tank and that we are scratching the surface of our potential of who we are and what we're actually capable of. And if you knew a fraction of your potential, like, you would be operating so much differently.
Yeah. Whew. Mic drop. All right, Juan, where can people go follow you, and what are some cool things that they should check out that you've got in the mix?
I think I hang out the most on Instagram, now doing more on LinkedIn. So those are the two places where I'm hanging out the most. And
what's your Instagram handle?
Instagram is Juan, Juan, Bendana, Bendana. And same for LinkedIn. And what could they check out is and honestly, I would put it onto them of, if you're listening or watching this, if you have a question about coaching or about speaking or about anything at all, literally just send me a message on Instagram, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll respond as long as it's not creepy or weird. Or memes. I typically don't respond to either of those three. But I'd be happy to help in any way that I can, even if it's a quick video or voice note. I do that whenever I get DMs from people or messages, I will help as much as I can. So feel free to reach out and connect and say hi, and let me know that you're coming from here.
Amazing. Yeah, I highly recommend that you guys go follow Juan. I've been friends with him now for like 7 years. And even still, when he posts things, I'm like, damn, I needed to hear that today. Like, that is so inspiring. That's so motivating. This is the exact thing that I needed in my ear. So that's why I call him both a friend and a mentor. And he can be that for you too. So go follow him.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's been a blast. And yeah, thanks so much. It's been fun.
All right, everyone, have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Big thanks to Juan Bendana for joining me on today's show. And thank you so much for you listeners tuning in. This is episode 2. So if you want to go ahead and get all of the show notes and resources, then head to theprofitablecoach.com/002. And if you want to grab our free mini course, the Life Coach Launch mini course, How to Master the Art of Attracting Clients, then head to theprofitablecoach.com/freebie, FREEBIE. And if you're new to the show, which you likely are because this is only episode 2, do me a favor, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button on your podcast app and leave us a review. Let us know what it is that you liked about today's episode. What were one of your big aha moments or takeaways? I know that Juan has a lot of really alternative views on the coaching industry, and that's why I brought him on today's show. So I'm super grateful to all of you for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting in the coming weeks. So many more incredible episodes to come. All right, sending you guys so much love.